In the past week, we have seen the US market tank by more than 4 to 5%, and even Singapore market has came down as well. What is the key reason? Why is this one of the worst weeks since September last year? Hey guys, Joey here, top tier MyZero trader in Philip Securities, and in this video, I'll share with you guys what is happening in the market right now. Why are we selling down? And more importantly, we'll dive into the markets, right? The charts of the markets, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500 index, even the NASDAQ, and look at the STI as well, right? To see where are we for all these key indices. What are the key levels? Could this actually be a good buying opportunity when the time comes? So make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. If you don't know what is happening to the markets, we'll dive into some news so you get a bit of context as to what is happening, and then we'll dive right into the indices for each of the key markets. Let's go. So right over here you can see Asia Pacific markets fall as Trump confirms tariffs to proceed next week. So Asia Pacific markets fell on Friday, alright, after US President Donald Trump confirmed that the tariffs on imports from Mexico and Canada will be going ahead and taking effect next week, effectively on the 4th of March. Most of the Asian indices are trading lower, like Australia down 1.5%, Japan Nikkei down 2.81%, South Korea Kospi down by 3.15%. So this is not just affecting the US market, even the Asian markets are also selling down. The price of Bitcoin fell by 1.79% as well, right, marking an almost 25% decline from its record high just last month. So why are we seeing all this weakness in the market over the past few weeks? Well, essentially you can see that Donald Trump has talked about tariffs since last month. He first proposed about the idea and he implemented these tariffs. Of course, he postponed these tariffs for Mexico and Canada as well for a month. But you can see right over here, announced that the proposed tariffs on 25% on Canada and Mexico will be implemented on 4th of March, right, after a month-long postponement, right? So it's going to go ahead. Why? Because he said that these countries had not sufficiently reduced the flow of drugs across the border. So that was one of his demands to make sure, if they were to solve it, maybe he might just pull back and not implement the tariffs. But it seems like these countries did not fulfill the condition, and he'll be going ahead to introduce the tariffs. And of course, he has triggered a trade war with China as well, all right? And I would say one of the largest country, right, that is a competitor of the US, all right? And there's ongoing tensions, all right, rising tensions between the US and China. And you can see right over here, Trump also said that China, which already faces 10% US tariffs, right, on its product, will likewise be charged an additional 10% tariffs on that day, on the 4th of March. So that's the reason why it's kind of like spark off a knee-jerk reaction in the markets, and it just caused more uncertainty in the markets. So overnight in the US, because of this announcement, well, all the three major indices, later we'll go through one by one to see where we are right now, but all the three major indices was down, right? S&P down by 1.59%. We have the NASDAQ put back 2.78%, right? Dow Jones down by about 0.4%. All three major US indices was down. So let's take a look at some of the news from Reuters. You can see right over here, right? Equities slump across Asia on Friday, and the US dollar hovered near multi-week highs against the currency of the country's top trading partners, as concerns about an escalating global trade war, right, soured market sentiment. So yeah, it's the same, trade war news. And another news would be technology shares also, saw some weakness. Why? Well, that was because we have AI darling NVIDIA, right, seeing a sell-off as well, right? The reason was because NVIDIA, right, one of the Magnificent Seven stocks, right, it has reported its earnings, and investors kind of like sell down the stock because it was just coming in below expectations. So these tariffs not only will affect the US economy, but it could also affect the rest of the world as well. You can see right over here, right? Yes, stock worries about its impact on the US economy. All right, now that we have covered some of the news that are affecting the markets, right, mainly due to Donald Trump introducing these tariffs and following through on its plan, right? Let's take a look at the markets, right? We look at the Dow Jones, the S&P 500 index, even the NASDAQ, and very quickly the Singapore Straits Times index as well, to see where are we. Could this actually be an opportunity right now, or maybe when we would hit to certain support levels? So this thing right over here is the Dow Jones. So you can see the Dow Jones is 43,239, and if I can quickly draw some of those key support levels, well, I think that would be the 42,000 level. Look at this, right? We have been supported above this 42,000, I would say, since September, right over here. Rebounded. In fact, just somewhere in January, we saw a rebound as well, right? So I think 42,000 would be where some bargain hunting might come back again. And let me go ahead to draw another resistance level right over here around the 40,000 5,000. So yeah, I would say right now, the longer term trend for the market, I've covered the markets, right? The longer term trend still looks okay. I think if you can stay above that 42,000 or maybe above that 40,000, the longer term trend still looks okay. And that has been the case since about 2 years back, since 2023, right? The longer term trend has been up, has been intact. But of course, in the short term, we can still see some selling, some weakness. In November, December, we actually saw prices coming down. Right over here, you can see the 20 days moving average line also started to turn down, then it started to point up, and right now you can see the 20 days moving average, like this green line that represents the short-term trend, has started to also turn down right over here. So if you ask me right now, I would say that the short-term trend is indeed down. We are in fact pushing away from the 45, the same 45,000 psychological resistance level right over here. So the short-term trend is down right now, of course, due to the news, right? This tariff news that's ongoing. Hopefully, it will not get worsened if Donald Trump were to introduce more tariffs on more countries or even the EU, and these countries were to retaliate with retaliatory actions like imposing tariffs on US imports as well. But that might lead to more downside as well. Alright, so this is Dow Jones, and let me go to turn on what we call the 1GT Pro indicator. So I have this indicator right over here. We click on button pump, right? You can see that it has comes out with what we call bullish and bearish signals. So let me just go to remove all join. You see that we have a bearish signal coming out right here over the past 1 week, and we are kind of like making our way back down. Let me draw the resistance level again, the same 45,000. So I think right now, right, we may see a bit of a pullback towards this support level right over here. Hopefully we hold above 42,000, and we may see a rebound again. And you can see that this 42,000 also is where the longer term moving average line is, right? So I think we can stay above this 42,000. It could be a really good opportunity to get back in if you see some bullish candlesticks happening right over here. Same thing like over here, we see some bullish candlestick coming in, and the green 20 days moving average line, right, that is sloping down right now, and it starts to maybe flatten out and point back up like what we saw over here. Well, that could lead to what we call a potential reversal in the market. So I think that is what I'm looking at right now. I think a bit of weakness in the short term. It could be an opportunity as well. We hit to those support levels, but let's see. I think over the next 1 to 2 weeks, that's where we're going to seek more confirmation to see that this support is holding, and we could really start to see a rebound. Okay, so this is the S&P 500 index that makes up the top 500 companies in the US. You can see right over here, we are about 5,861. Over the past week, well, we have seen a retracement from this very key resistance level. I would say somewhere around the 6,200 to maybe 6,150. That is a very key resistance level, and we would have a support maybe around the 5,800. Look at this, right? Since like October, November, we have been supported, rebounded, and we are like at 5,861 right now. So hopefully, I mean, now it's only like 1 day, a few days that we are approaching this level. So I think hopefully we can stay above the 5,008. That could be a good opportunity as well. But you can see that we have a bearish signal coming out. The green 20 days moving average line, from moving up, we have started to slope down as well. So definitely some short-term weakness, even though the longer term trend is up. So look at the red and the blue line, the 100 days moving average and the 200 days moving average. Both of them have been up since 1-2 years back. So the longer term trend is up. It's quite stable. But I think same thing like what we've experienced over the past 1-2 years, a bit of a weakness in the short term over here. Same thing that was in July last year. In fact, in December as well, it seems like now it is starting to happen. We may see some short-term weakness. So the key is that we want to wait for this, stability near these support levels like 5,800. Of course, if the 5,800 does not hold, maybe to 5,006 to 5,007, that could be the next support level. So we want to wait for some, good stabilization, support coming out, buyers starting to bargain hard, maybe even some bullish candles coming out. Well, that would give a confirmation of a potential reversal, especially if we were to spot what we call a bullish signal, something like what we see over here. That was in April. You can see, right? We saw a bearish signal. It starts trading down, and we got a bullish signal. The green 20 days moving average line started to point up, and there we go. Same thing over here. It was down. We got a bullish signal. It starts to move up, right? So I think we can see this right over here, maybe at 5,008 to 5,006. that could lead the potential reversal. But right now, if you ask me, I think there could be some short-term weakness because a bearish signal has came out and the short-term trend has indeed turned down as well for now. Okay, let's move on and talk about the NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ that pretty much tracks the top technology companies in the US. So we have seen some heavy selling. Let me go to draw this very key resistance level right here. I would say somewhere around the 20,100. Look at this, right? Over the past 2-3 months, we just couldn't get above the 20,000 psychological resistance level. And if you look at this support level, I would say that we have found a bit of a support, maybe somewhere around the 19,000, around the 19,000. But look at this, right? Yesterday, we kind of like just went below the 19,000 level. Pretty red bearish candle. I think it was led by Nvidia, which sold off quite heavily by more than 7 to 8%. All right, and you can see this very red bearish candle. So we have a bearish signal coming out right over here, and that was like about 2 months back. You can see started to consolidate, whereby we saw some selling coming back, and right now we say 18,544. So next support level could be anything maybe near the 18,000. I think 18,000 level could be the next support level. After 18,000, then maybe towards the 16,500. Well, I think somewhere over here, that would be another support level as well. So I think right now, we are indeed seeing a bit of weakness in the short term. Longer term trend is still okay. Short term wise, a bearish signal came out. The green 20 days moving average, now you can see it is still sloping down as well. So you want to be a bit more careful. Plus, as I say, we broke the 19,000 horizontal support we have been holding for 2-3 months. Not a good thing. We could see even more weakness. All right, so I think this is the NASDAQ. Take note of some of the key levels like this 18,000, even the 16,500. If we stabilize, right over there, we see some bullish candles, maybe the 20 days moving average line will turn back up. I think all this could point to some strength coming back and a good reversal coming back as well. All right, let's take a look at the Singapore's market, the Singapore Straits Times Index, the STI right over here. So for the Singapore market, it has been a little bit, opposite compared to the US. We have been seeing strength, all right, over the past 1 to 2 months. Of course, we saw a bit of weakness over the past week as well. But overall, it looks like a pretty good long-term uptrend just by looking at the 100 days moving average, the red line, and the blue line. And of course, look at the short-term trend, right? Since August, it was down, and it started to point up in September. So the short-term trend has turned up since September. It is still pretty much pointing up right now as per the 20 days moving average, right? So we got a bullish signal right over here in August, and you see, right, we started to see that rally. So I think if you want to find a bit more, guys, on like how you can have a quick opinion on any single stocks, even on the markets, on the indices, right? Make sure you attend one of those free webinars, right? The link's right below the video, click on it, and that's where I'll share you guys a bit more on how perhaps you could have an indicator like this. You could easily turn on the buy and sell signals with a click of a button and see, for yourself, are there any bullish signals? Are there any bearish signals? Where could we potentially hit to as well? All right, and if I could turn on what we call the trailing support line pump, let me just turn it on. You can see that for STI right over here, once we got this bullish signal, right, we have a trailing support that follows prices or kind of like the index as it moves higher from August all the way up, and a bearish signal, right, as we kind of like went below the trailing support, right? A bearish signal, another bearish signal, started to just move sideways a little bit. But look at this, right? Over the past 1-2 weeks, well, seems like we got another bullish signal coming out. The trailing support pops up. You see prices holding above the trailing support, giving it some space as well. So this trailing support kind of like follows the price of the stock or the market as it moves higher. It gives it breathing space for it to hopefully move higher. And if we are above it, I think it is still okay. So you can see right now for STI, obviously we are above this trailing support. We may even have found another support level right around the 3,800 and maybe 3,850 to 3,880. I think seems like that is some support that has came out over the past 2 weeks as well. All right, so I think this is the STI. Looks not too bad. All right, compared to the US, we're seeing a bit of more selling in the short term. But for Singapore, we saw selling, but it's still hovering above a very, very good support. So I think Singapore still looks pretty strong for now. Anything above that 3,850 to 3,900, I think we are still at a very good, uptrend. and more upside could actually happen. Alright guys, so there we have it. I hope you have a better idea of where we are for each of the markets, some of the key levels to take note of, where you could potentially see some bargain hunting coming back again, and that's where you want to put certain stocks in your watch list to ride even more upside. Of course, if there are weakness coming in, if there are bearish signals on stocks, you want to be careful as well. You don't want to buy when there's still short-term weakness. You only want to get in when there's some strength, there's a sign of a reversal. So as I say, you want to find a bit more on the entire one good trend strategy, and perhaps how you could have an indicator like this, the 1GT Pro indicator, to guide you on when to get in, when to get out, and also how do you actually filter out the top 1% of stocks, right? Such that during times like this where the market is going down, there's weakness and people are fearful, you want to filter out the top 1% of stocks and get ready to get in on them. Not anyhow, not anytime, but when the time comes. When you see a bullish signals, when you see the short-term trend turning up as well, that's where you want to be able to position yourselves in them fast. To find out more about it, as I say, attend one of those free webinars. The link is right below the video. Click on it, register for this free webinar, and that's where I'll share with you guys more in this webinar. I'm sure you will definitely take away something, alright, and that's how pretty much you can think about how to position yourself and in winning stocks, and how to consistently be profitable in the markets, right? Not just 1 or 2 times, but over 10, 20, 30 trades to be consistent in the long run. So Joey here, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, follow as well, so that when we publish any videos, or when we go live in the future on YouTube as well, that's why you will not miss out on any videos like this. So Joey here, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video and also in the next webinar if you have not yet attended yet.